Welcome to Profit Talks. I'm Profit. Today is Tuesday, May 12th, 2026. And today I'm going to talk about something different than I usually do. Usually I either comment on a single global event or take several interesting markets that I've seen throughout the week and give them a proper context and explain why the prices moved in a certain way. But I think that we have a more important topic to discuss as during the weekend, a very interesting development happened on the Russia ex-Ukraine ceasefire market. So as you can see on the chart here that I put on the title, contrary to pretty much all expectations, Russia ex-Ukraine ceasefire markets across the board resolved to yes on the announcement of the Victory Day ceasefire, so a 3-day ceasefire that happened over the weekend. And I think this is especially important for everyone. So not only if you're a trader, but also if you just look at prediction markets to get a reliable forecast of the future, because it is a very material change to what's been happening on those markets before. So I'll just walk you through today on how actually the markets resolve on Polymarket, why this resolution is controversial, and most importantly, what it means for future ceasefire and generally geopolitical markets, because the change is quite drastic. So that's it when it comes to introduction. Let's just look at the market, and I'll brief you on what's been happening. So as you can see, pretty much throughout the whole existence of the market, not only by the end of May, but also any other market that was there, traders didn't really expect a ceasefire to happen. The chances were generally below 5%, but basically all the time they were below 10%. So this is close to the time value of money. This is an event that pretty much no one expected to happen. And here's the interesting thing, because if you're following the Ukraine war closely, you might know that we've actually had several ceasefires throughout the last 4 years, more than 4 years. These ceasefires usually happen around events like Easter, Christmas, or New Year's Eve. And these were generally very short-term ceasefires, usually 24 hours, sometimes close to 30 hours. And they were the ceasefires just to celebrate a given event. So when the first such a ceasefire happened, when the markets actually existed, there was a lot of discussion between the platform and the traders on how to actually treat this ceasefire, because you need to remember that the first ceasefire market that we ever had on the platform related to Ukraine was published after Trump announced that he will end the Ukraine war in 24 hours if he becomes a president. So these ceasefire markets, it was assumed and later confirmed that they're not exactly about any ceasefire. They're about a ceasefire that aims to end the war. So we had several examples of such ceasefires in different wars that we had recently. One example is Gaza. So last year, back in January, there was I think 45 to 60 day ceasefire between Israel and Gaza. And during this ceasefire, there was a proposed framework they were to discuss and ultimately agree to fully end the war and to enter peace. As you know, this obviously didn't happen, but it was clear that the ceasefire is not a humanitarian pause, not a short-term ceasefire, but an actual ceasefire that is aiming to end the war. And this is important because here in rules we have even stated that no informal agreement will be considered, that humanitarian pauses will not count toward the resolution of the market. And this clause was introduced because, contrary to the Gaza war or Iran war that we had a ceasefire back in April this year, it was also aimed to end the war, even though the war didn't actually end. But the intent of the ceasefire was clear. So this clause was introduced because when we had different ceasefires during Ukraine and Russia war, for example, like an Easter truce last year, there was a heated debate on what it actually that should actually count to resolve the market to yes. And after quite a long deliberation and a lot of frustration, it was decided that such a ceasefire will be considered a humanitarian pause and will not count towards a resolution of this market. So since then, traders assumed and knew that no such short-term pause would be enough to resolve the market. And here is where things get very interesting, because coming up to the victory day that we had on the weekend, pretty much every trader that was trading this market understood that there is a relatively high chance, probably 80%, that there will be a victory day ceasefire, be it like 1 day, 2 days, several hours, whatever. But even though they knew that, as you can see, the prices on the market didn't really move that much. Just before the prices shot up, the price of ES was at 3.4 cents, which is extremely low, and generally indicates that no trader really believes this will happen. And yet, the market resolved to yes. And here, I think it's important that you understand what is actually happening behind the scenes when the market is being resolved. So, some of the traders, after Trump announced the 3-day ceasefire on the victory day, started buying up yes shares and then proposed the market to resolve to yes. As you can see, you have here like a short annotation that there's an outcome proposed to yes. And what happens then is that all the other traders, and pretty much everyone, they have 2 hours to dispute this proposal. So if someone disputes this proposal, there is once again a countdown during which the other side can once again propose to yes. And if it's once again disputed, then the whole discussion moves towards Polymarket resolver, which is UMA. So UMA is an optimistic oracle, and their main task in Polymarket is to resolve market disputes. So what happens during that resolution is that traders and UMA holders, generally anyone interested in the market, can post rationale and evidence behind their decision. So they can say they either believe the market should resolve to yes, or maybe to no, or that the market shouldn't resolve at all, and you should just wait till end of May, for example, as here. And then after a period, I think it's 24 hours of posting evidence, the UMA token holders can vote on what they believe is the most fair outcome. So this doesn't really happen that often, but usually when it happens is a big deal. A lot of people get involved, post evidence, and try to influence UMA token holders so they vote on what they perceive is a fair resolution. As you probably see, this is not exactly a great system. It is very flawed, and we had a lot of questionable resolutions in the past. So what happened then is at some point Polymarket started to issue clarifications in order to avoid controversies. So when there is a heated discussion or a debatable market, what generally happens is that Polymarket says they will issue a clarification at a given time, and this clarification usually decides the market. So all the blame or all the decision making is on the Polymarket team. However, this process that we had during the weekend was especially controversial because before the Polymarket team issued a clarification, the market completely disappeared from the platform. Polymarket team claims it's a technical issue. Some people believe them, some people don't. I don't think it's a place for me to judge because I don't know the details. So I will leave it to you guys to figure out what you believe in. But ultimately, they clarified the market to yes, as you can see, that a mutual agreement to halt military engagement between Russia and Ukraine has been publicly announced and confirmed by a consensus of credible reporting. And regardless if the market disappears or not, this is also controversial because Polymarket team, in the essence, overturned a long-running precedent of not resolving ceasefire markets on short-term ceasefires that are not directly connected to any wider peace process. I've already posted on my X account my comment on what I think about it, if it was a good decision or a bad decision. So if you want to read that, I invite you to my X account. But what I would rather do here is to try and explain what was the one material difference between this announcement and all the previous announcements, and what it means for all other ceasefire markets and probably some other geopolitical markets as well. Because ultimately, the one thing that differs the Victory Day ceasefire, so the 3-day ceasefire that we had over the weekend, and all the previous Easter truces, New Year's Eve ceasefires, Christmas ceasefires, is that this is the first and only Ukraine war ceasefire in which Trump personally posted about it and announced it. So essentially, what the Polymarket team did here is they created a new precedent that if Trump announces a ceasefire, it will count towards the resolution of yes, regardless of the length of the ceasefire, or if it is connected to any wider peace effort. And this is quite a difference, because I imagine that if traders realize that's the policy, what we would see here is not like 3.3% chance, but probably closer to 40%. And as the Victory Day comes, we'll see a lot of volatility in the market as traders would try to understand if this is the time that Trump posts about it, or he just leaves it alone. But what it also means for those markets and the future markets is that this volatility will somehow... what I want to say here is that we will not have the chances of progress in the peace negotiations. What we will have here is generally a market on whether Trump announces something or not. This is a material difference because, as you know, during the last year and a half, we see many statements from Trump, some of them true, some of them false, some of them somehow misleading, some of them just aimed at, for example, markets. So this is like, as we are seeing during the current Iran war, we heard several times already that the deal is very close, that the Strait of Hormuz is opening up, and ultimately nothing of sorts happened. On the other hand, the markets always resolved on the announcements, not on the actual thing happening. But what changes here is that it is enough that Trump posts about something on Truth Social to resolve the market to yes. So this creates a whole lot of changes for us geopolitical traders, starting, for example, with how to approach possibly upcoming Iran peace deal. So looking at this market, for example, we now think that it is enough for Trump to announce a peace deal for the market to resolve to yes, regardless really of what's inside the peace deal, and if it collapses in a day or two or not. What should have happened previously is that even though Trump announces something, we would wait for not only consensus of credible reporting, but usually also the substance of the deal, and try to understand if it actually satisfies the rules of the market. But if we have Trump posting that a peace deal has been achieved, that there is a total and complete end of war, and he's very happy that Iran agreed to XYZ, this should probably be enough to resolve the market to yes. And And yeah, the market will probably resolve to yes in that case. So what I'm trying to say here, I'm trying to show you, is that when you look in the future at all types of ceasefire markets, you will need to understand that now they're not trading on what is actually going to happen when it comes to peace. They're trading what is going to happen when it comes to Trump posting. I don't think personally it's a very good choice, because we'll get, as I explained to you before, a lot of volatility, especially at the end of the process, which is not, I think, which is not very informative of the peace process. Maybe we'll get peace markets instead, so we'll have ceasefire and peace. They should be disconnected from each other. But generally, it also made trading on this market more unpredictable. So, like, usually geopolitical markets are tough because we have very little information actually on what is happening in the world. All we have is some rumors and reports. Not all of them are actually true, and a good geopolitical trader needs to understand what is signal and what is just noise aimed at a specific person or a specific market. And now, part of what we considered noise before is actually just another signal, making trading here more unpredictable and giving us even less certainty on our beliefs, because ultimately no one really believed that the Ukraine war is going to end, or there is significant progress in ending it by the end of May. And now, for example, if these markets appear again, we'll have a lot more uncertainty when it comes to short-term ceasefires. So I think that's it. I just wanted to touch this topic because I believe this is important. I believe going forward we see wildly different pricing on various ceasefire markets. And if you are in the space, or you just look at prediction markets as a source of information, understanding this difference and what the chances of the market actually mean is extremely important, because you can just look at the market, see there's 50% of a ceasefire, and you can think that the war might end soon. But the reality is that we might just get a 3-day Victory Day ceasefire, so Putin can have his parade in Moscow. So thank you for watching. If you like the video, click the like button, subscribe, share it with other people you know that are using prediction markets, so they can also understand the new paradigm in the ceasefire resolutions, and especially going forward, be a bit more careful when you look at certain ceasefire markets, because they don't necessarily mean, like, high chances of a ceasefire now wouldn't necessarily mean that the war is coming to an end. Also, if you're interested in geopolitics in general and want to understand context around markets, you should take a look at my newsletter at prophetnotes.com, where I publish weekly pieces explaining different geopolitical markets, putting out theses on what will happen, and giving a lot of context on what you can see on the screen as a simple price. So thank you for watching, and see you probably this week for another round of Prophet Talks.